Before we get into anything, even the intro, I just have to take a quick moment and say, hi, Salone. My twin sister popped into the live chat of the live stream last weekend, and I didn't see her comment. So I'm saying, hey, Salone, if you're watching this, I don't know if you are, but you're great, and I'll see you soon, and I'm looking forward to it, because I miss you. Anyway, on with the video. How did an apple, a mirror, some scratches on a door, and a raven paving the path for loads of photos and a phone booth? Scratching Abraxas, man, they tax us and our brains, dissecting each shot frame by frame. These BANGTAN boys, this bulletproof choice got a lot farther by working a lot harder, by being a lot smarter, by being some self-starters in 2015. They needed you to join and be a part of, and every day while they would fight and write away, they paved the way. They struggled but kept the work up. Inside they knew there was something they were a part of. These boys were ready to be black swans and shut them all up. Then army came and celebration reigned. Our men saw their future hitting that refrain, put that thought to the spot, used their young brain, and they sang themselves to fame, blood, sweat, and tears in their veins. Then the word got around, they said, these dudes are insane, man. Get their white lilies and a painting and just frame them. Go down to the pier, take that shot and don't stop, man. The world is gonna know your names. What's your names, man? BANGTAN universe. This is the BANGTAN universe. And from Demian we will converse and make you wait. We'll make you wait. Hi, welcome to my channel. Hey, I'm Kenny. Whoa, hey, yeah. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Cedric. I am an actor, a filmmaker, a screenwriter, and a YouTube reactor. And we are continuing the BANGTAN universe today. If you missed my live stream over the weekend, where we just talked for like an hour and it was great. And if you were there, wonderful. It was so fun. But I think I have a bias wrecker. And I'm going to announce it at the end of this video and talk about it for a little bit. And so make sure if you want to know who my bias wrecker is, stick around for the end. But in the meantime, thank you so much to my patrons on Patreon for supporting me. You mean so much to me, and I know I say that in every video, but again, I'm expanding what I'm doing with Patreon, and I'm totally open to your thoughts, so let's chat there, and meet me over there if you want to support me continuing to do this, as well as make films. It's very exciting. I'm hoping to get all the videos done on the regular schedule. You know, BTS is generally Fridays or Saturdays. It kind of depends. I'm shooting this Saturday, and so this is coming out a week after I've filmed it, and I'm shooting, I think, 3 films next week, maybe 2. I'm still not fully booked on one, but we'll see. So I'm still working quite a bit, and so I'm doing my best. I'm also going on vacation. If you're watching this on Saturday, I am leaving in a few hours. So I need that, and so I'm shooting next week's videos right now as well. So I'm trying to stay ahead of it. Then I'm going to have like 2 weeks until I move, so I'm not sure what that's going to look like. But, you know, just trying to be transparent about what all of that is going to look like over the next few weeks. I want to make sure that I do prioritize this and get videos out to you, and I know you're all very understanding, and you know that things are kind of crazy in my life all the time, and so I so appreciate your understanding. Y'all are amazing. I have the best subscribers on YouTube, and I have the best patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much. I also, of course, want to say thank you to Anitra at Say What Reacts for giving me the guide to go through all this. Because I've already seen Blood, Sweat, and Tears, if you want to see my reaction, my first gut initial reaction to it without the universe implications, go ahead and watch that. It was like the 3rd video I ever did. I still didn't know any of their names at all, but I knew that I loved them. I think that was the one where I was like, yeah, these guys are serious. Because I think the world of this music video. So we are going to do the Boy Meets Evil trailer and then the Blood, Sweat, and Tears music video, but I'm going to be watching it for the BANGTAN universe implications. So again, that one's not my first time reaction. You can go back and see that, but you'll be seeing me trying to understand the BANGTAN universe through this. Again, I'm not trying to use any external resources, so I know that I'm wrong on some things, but I think that's the joy of watching and discovering, and I think that's why I enjoy having all of you, and maybe why you enjoy watching this. But without any further ado, let's just jump into it, and Boy Meets Evil. Let's see where that goes. Big hit. Entertainment.
My scene was not specifically this or that, but consisted of having shaken hands with the devil. The devil held me in his clutches. The enemy was behind me.
It's intense. Some really cool lighting to bring it in like that. A little bit of a silhouette with that. 어두워져가 내 미래의 빛 지기 어린 사랑의 이른 꿈을 꾸 내 야망의 도끼 매어 칼을 갈았지 뭐 참을 수 없는 내 욕심에 칼을 무뎌져 알고 있었다 이 사랑은 악마의 또 다른 이름 손을 잡지 못. Okay, there's a couple of things I want to talk about already. First, I'm assuming that this is a J-Hope solo, which is dope, because he's such a good dancer. But more importantly, not more importantly, but just as an interesting note, I talked about this in my Blood, Sweat, and Tears reaction, but I don't think I've talked about it much since. Look at what they've added to the room. They've added some fog. Why? It creates a more cinematic look. Why? That's a great question. Watch this. So this is called atmospheric aerosol. And it's, you can get the, you'll have like fogging machines. I don't know if you can see my face. You can have like fogging machines in films that will do this, but this is more of a cheap version for like an indie filmmaker like me.
How long do you want me to wait? As soon as I call action to drop.
And it hazes up a room. So, it helps light diffuse.
Action!
So, for example, if I wanted to haze this corner, okay? So you let it settle. I got a little bit on my finger there. It's all kind of going toward the window. So I'll put a little bit more over here. And you can watch it go by. And it just adds a depth of field. So if I sit down here, it's not going to make a huge difference because of my lighting setup right here. But it just adds a little bit of depth. Now, why is it really cool in this video? Because he's dancing in it. So if I put a bunch right here and then I go, I don't know if you guys can see it all that well, but it's moving with my arm, right? See that? So it creates a really cool effect because it takes... I'm gonna stop. It's fine to breathe, but it smells weird. Get out. I don't want you setting off my smoke alarm. The reason that they would use it in something like this is it makes all of his movements look that much bigger. When his arm goes, the smoke goes with it, the haze goes with it, and it extends every movement. And especially with someone like J-Hope, who's already so naturally fluid, where everything is going and it's already so big because he fully commits his body to the dance. I like to use the phrase plugs his foot into the floor. His whole body's electrified. Everything is engaged. It just really adds to this experience. I'm also fascinated by the purple tone that they've gone with here. Purple, of course, can mean any number of things, but there's a lot of talk about love, and I would maybe call it lust in this so far. Talking about greed, everything like that. So I think that there's some implications as far as the color choice that they've gone with it being purple. Sharpen my knife of poisonous ambition. So I'm going to take it back just a little bit before the dance really breaks in. Nice. Oh, I didn't notice the kind of reddish light coming in there. Nice. Some nice camera work there to go with the move. Oh, that was dope. That was a good move. The breathe aspect. So good. Oh, so good. Oh, guys. Okay. So good. So good. Okay, so let's talk camera work first. I think they're shooting most of this on a Steadicam. That's why they're getting such diverse range of motion with it. A lot of the push-ins, pull-ups, those are always going to look good on a Steadicam. They could be using a doorway dolly, but I think given the fluidity of the motion, they probably did everything on a Steadicam, which is how they're able to punch in really close, add a little bit of shake with it, some of which they're probably adding in post, but it almost creates a handheld or a shoulder mount effect to it. Sort of that aspect of losing control, but especially now that we're really starting to lose it, and visually it's starting to look a little bit like the Mama short film. He's really starting to lose control. I assume that this is talking about love, some sort of love temptation, realizing that this person was too sweet, they were too perfect in my mind, I wasn't seeing their flaws, or I was seeing their flaws and I was choosing to ignore them, which is hyper toxic. And so there's this element of temptation and loss, and now I'm in hell because I'm with this person, or I'm not with this person, and I still can't see past their flaws. A fascinating dialogue that's occurring there. And then J-Hope's just a masterful dancer. Everybody. He's real good. He's very good. Nice. It's a good effect. Look at that. Everything's so intentional. Look at that power coursing through his body. Do this kick. So good. Also a visual reference to the camera move in the Lie short film. Nice. His cuffs change there. Okay, wings. Sick.
It's too evil. Yeah, it's so evil.
Dope. That was sick. So I guess that was the trailer before the Wings short films came out, I guess. Yeah, so, you know, obviously there's the explicit reference to the Wings and everything, but just from a dancing standpoint, that was masterful as far as choreography and performance. It's just, there's so much, it's so easy to watch someone who's that good at what they do and has that much passion for it and that much energy as they're doing it. Yeah, he's really, really good. There was something that I noticed at the end and I know what it was. The breath aspect. There's been a lot of moments of characters within this universe taking breaths. And he did at one point, he covered, and I think the lyrics were about breathing. So he kind of covered his mouth, and then at the end he was doing this. And so I wonder if, you know, looking back at some of what's happened, there's been a lot of themes of water. We've seen V jump off into water, V in the water. We know that Jimin is connected with a bathtub, and that Suga is connected with Jimin in that, because the bathtub showed up in First Love. And so I'm wondering if there's some sort of element of drowning, whether metaphorically or literally, if that's how one or some of them died, or one other thing that's possible that I got really entrenched in this, like most of them are dead or most of them aren't real, but I guess what if all of them are real except Jin is also a question, or what if Jin is dead? I'm not sure, but it's an interesting thought experiment. This was terrific, just as an exercise in dance. I don't know how much that really explained anything explicitly with the universe, but maybe I didn't need to. Let's check out Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I may not pause a ton in this one because I've already seen it, but I'll pause when I need to. Big hit. Entertainment. So they hit Jimin. Are they all watching Jin discover this? Not all of them, though. So he's stuck between the light and the dark here, watching a painting. I think it's The Fall of Lucifer, I think I discovered last time I watched this.
내 마지막 춤을 다 가져가
Huh. Jungkook's associated with flying. The smoke has to do with fire. It's also green, which is a element of poison. Turning that, okay. Okay, so we've seen RM drinking a couple of times now, and he's always putting something in a glass, and sometimes lighting things on fire as he's drinking it. So that's fascinating. Now we're associating green between RM and Suga, which is very, very interesting. I'm not sure where that's going from. Of course, green smoke would imply some sort of poison, so that's obviously interesting. Again, I feel like I'm missing things on this one. Maybe it's because I've already seen it and I don't know where to look now. Right, in between the light and the dark still. Oh, yo, yo, yo! Is that Mary holding Jesus? Is that the statue back there? Because J-Hope... Yes, it has to be, because J-Hope's mama. His association with Ava and with the mother figure. Now I wonder, because of the Greek mythology that's referenced here, is he drawing a bow? Is that a reference to Artemis, perhaps? Who ironically is not a mother, if I remember correctly. She's sort of pledged to not, although, you know, Percy Jackson, which is canonical mythology. I wonder. I wonder. That's really interesting. Yo, listen, I think Artemis and J-Hope, there's actually something there, and here's why. So we're seeing him in front of the Virgin Mary, who of course is one of the most famous mothers in the world, right? But he's got a bow and arrow, and Artemis, as I just mentioned, was one of the virgin goddesses, the goddess of the hunt. She used bow and arrows a lot. That's one of her things. She's also associated with the moon. What's the moon associated with? Sleeping. What's J-Hope associated with? Narcolepsy. Right? Now let's go further than this. Just now in a caption, because I'm editing, it's me. I noticed that RM had the deer antlers in the room, and I referenced Killing of the Sacred Deer. It's a Yorgos Lanthimos movie from 2017, but that's based on an old Greek myth involving Artemis. And so I'm really starting to wonder if that's somehow a connection that's being drawn, because obviously Greek mythology is in this. So I'm just putting that out there. I have no idea if it has legs or not, but there are a lot of clues in this that would seem to indicate that. So that's all I got. All right, okay. Editing out. Peace. But I think that's Mary holding Jesus. So the mother holding the dead son after his crucifixion. What a fascinating visual metaphor in here. So that's kind of symbolic of water. The sheet, it looks like he's underwater. Right, we're back at this. Ah! What did Jin see right there? So we saw the apples that are back on. So again, we're getting back to this element of temptation. I want to talk about the acting here, because I think they're doing some things in more subtle ways. Jin looks consistently uncomfortable. RM looks consistently... not comfortable, but complacent, I think. Sort of satisfied with where he is. Suga looked almost a little bit aggressive, sort of like an animal in a cage, is how I perceived his performance right there. V is like weirdly playful, sitting on the balcony, everything like that. Like, there's a wry smile that's happening. He's kind of doing that constant, like, you know, that kind of like, I'm up to something, there's something going on. And Jimin he has some sort of look that's between him and V, like there's a temptation aspect that's happening, and I know Jimin's associated with the apple, so maybe I'm projecting that, but I feel like that's something that I'm seeing happening here. So the wild card is J-Hope and Jungkook, and I'm not quite sure how they're connected, or what their role in this is so far, but that's just something that I'm noticing, looking at just the light in their eyes and the way that they are doing little subtle physical things. Love that costume. Jungkook with the alarm. Now the green smoke's coming in there. Put your jacket on, my guy. Okay, so the green smoke is now coming from RM on the first floor, the lowest level, filtering up into the room where Suga has what looks like, I think I said this last time, it looks like a sword. No, it's a sash. Some sort of blindfold, maybe? I can't remember from the original that I saw. And Jimin's holding the apple, and they're sitting across from each other. It's almost ceremonial in nature, right? Also, look at the design on the back wall here. Reminiscent of, it's not explicitly, but reminiscent of Abraxas. Yeah? So, just an interesting note. Jumping off. Feels like a reference to the pier when he jumped off. This feels like a reference to Lai and Mama, with the way the colors are changing. Jungkook floating with the feathers all around. So pretty. This again, we've seen the smoking reference. Blindfolding Jimin.
He too was a tempter. He too was a link to the second.
Sinclair talking about Demian, right?
Evil world with which I no longer wanted to have anything to do.
So we've seen there's like a couple of shots we've seen of Red with like a bird flying. Is this sort of within that world? Is this supposed to be an explicit reference to that? We're losing a balloon. That feels like letting go of childhood. I assume that's Jin that let go of it. So maybe this is a reference to Awake, kind of exactly what he just did, letting go of his childhood in Awake, which is what I think he did, and I could be totally wrong. Right? I remember this. So pretty. But there's oh! That's sort of a cage, right? Could that be a reference to V? Maybe. Stops and sees J. You know what? There was something I wasn't sure of last time, and I've been wrong. I think I've been wrong. He walks up to Icarus, who's maybe supposed to... No, guys, no! I need to make sure I'm right. I need to see something to make sure I'm right. Tell me that's who I think it is. Is it V? Wow. So I have a few things that I need to address with this. The first being RM and Jungkook. Okay? So RM and Jungkook were together at the beginning. And we've seen Jungkook on this swing in this room. And it looks like he's either floating or falling. It's one of the two. Perhaps that's the point. Is he going to good or is he falling to evil? But RM down on the first floor is playing with this green smoke. Is he the one with the candle? Because I think he had it, the candle dripped green into a glass, and then he was drinking green, right? So I'm assuming that he's the one with the candle, but then Jungkook had the wax. Of course, what's wax associated with that we've already seen a reference to in this? Icarus, with the wings, right? So is Jungkook supposed to be symbolic of Icarus and this sense of pride? If we know at the beginning that RM was reading something to Jungkook, right? So that's sort of the father-son relationship that we might see. And of course, we've been associating RM this whole time with something more mature, the smoking, the drinking, sort of a fatherly type figure in this. V calls RM for help, I assume, based on what I've seen so far. So I think that that's a thing. Next, we see the statue of Icarus, which could also be symbolic of Lucifer or of Demian or of Braxis or whatever you want to be. Of course, Jin steps into frame and has the wings coming out of his back. But then now we see V, and of course I didn't pick this up the first time because I didn't recognize who they were. V has wings missing and turns around and gives that smile. And V has jumped off the pier into the water. V jumped off the balcony. V is the falling. V is the tempter. That's why he covers Jin's face when Jin questions it for a moment. V has fallen. That is my assumption. And Jimin is also falling, but they were two different falls. Jimin seemed it was more of an innocence and not knowing any better when he fell. With the apple. And just sort of kind of not knowing what's happening. And it's this jittery thing that we've seen in Lie. Versus V, who seems to know dang well what he's doing. And wants to take Jin down. And not down in a bad way. It's the thing of Abraxas, right? Is that good and evil, yes, but it's not necessarily like... I can't remember everything from the book, but it's not like evil is just a blanket thing, that there's nuance to it, right? That's where I think this is going. Now, did Suga lead Jimin there? I don't know. I might have been wrong about V this whole time. I thought he was more of a victim, but is this a choice that he's making? Is it all a narrative that he's constructing? It's fascinating. Right. Same as the painting, right? Same there. So Jimin's starting to slip. What does that mean? I'll look it up. The face exploding. And the lily. And now he's starting to crack. I think I need time to just maybe sit with that for a little bit before I, There was just so much. Dang. Yeah, a lot happened there. That was fascinating. Can't believe how much I missed the first time. And you guys are probably all laughing because of how much I missed this time. But... that really pushed RM and Jungkook's narrative forward because of the Icarus thing. And I think I've been wrong about V this whole time. I've been saying Jimin's the tempter, but what if it's V? What if V's falling is what led him there and now his mission is to take the others there? If V is Demian, right? Or is V Sinclair in this narrative? What if Jungkook is Sinclair? It could be Jungkook, because Sinclair paints, right? He does 3 paintings in the book, I think. I can't remember what they all are. I think the first one is apples, which I guess we haven't seen Jungkook reference apples. One is Ava, I think. And the other one turns out to be Demian. And that would make sense, because he's done the painting and it turned out to be Suga. But I don't think Suga is Demian. But I guess they could all be representing different aspects of those characters. I don't know. Okay. Alright, come back next time for more confusion. Great. Cool. Alright.
Oh. Ow. Oh.
That's all I've got for this one. I hope you enjoyed. Fix your posture and stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I have to dive right into the next one, the next 2 maybe. So we'll see how that goes. No brain breaks for me, not for your boy. So let's check it out. I guess we'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for.
Hey, it's Cedric from the future. I just finished recording next week's BTS video, and I realized that I never did my bias wrecker reveal, so I thought I'd do that now in the shirt you'll see next week. And I'm gonna give a quick trigger warning as far as topics of mental health, as well as cancer. So this is gonna be really fun. I know you guys might think that I'm gonna joke around on this one, but actually my bias wrecker is for a much more serious reason than one might assume. My bias wrecker is Suga. And I think it's not just because he's one of the most extraordinarily talented people on the planet. Teshita is my favorite rap song. I think it's terrific. He's terrific. They're all terrific, though. What sets Suga apart for me is the storyline of his shoulder and the surgery that he had to undergo and the fear and the anxiety that he had to address that and to talk about it. As many of you know, but maybe not all of you do, I had cancer. I was diagnosed with... Let me just drop that on you. I had cancer. I was diagnosed 3 weeks after I changed majors to study theater. And so I said, I'm going to jump in and do this thing that really scares me. I'm a person that's very security-oriented, someone that really... like security-oriented, which means acting is torture. It's scary. There's no set income. You have to grind every day just to have a chance at having an income, right? And that's a really tough thing to step into, and I'm very, very blessed and lucky to have had the opportunities that I've had. But 3 weeks after I decided to go into this, I'm diagnosed with cancer, and partially because I had been in a musical where I had to roller skate, and I'm not very good at roller skating, so I fell, I hit my elbow, I broke my wrist, my elbow was still hurting, so they did scans, and they found out that I had an extremely rare type of cancer called epithelioid hemangioendothelioma, which rolls off the tongue, but it's blood vessel cancer. And so they had to do a bunch of surgeries on my elbow and do radiation therapy for months, and I was living by myself, and I had just come out of some really serious, like, clinical depression. I was in therapy. A couple of years before that, I had been in a car accident where we got rear-ended by somebody. I hit my head on the window, and I got a severe concussion with retrograde amnesia, so I don't remember large portions of the next 6 months or even chunks of the 6 months after that. So there's a year of my life where there's just an enormous amount of information and memories just gone that I literally have no memory of. And so that caused a lot of mental health issues. And as I'm coming out of that, I get diagnosed with cancer, which of course re-sparks a lot of the mental health issues. So I'm going back to therapy, and I'm having these radiation treatments on my elbow, and I'm having all these surgeries. And, you know, a lot of people will see me as a pretty healthy guy. I'm turning 27 in a few months, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's just a guy in his mid to late 20s who's you know, physically quite well. But I can only lift like 25, 30 pounds with that arm. The bone is basically eggshell, and then there's like 6 screws and a plate kind of holding it together. But if I hit it too hard, it could just shatter, and that's something I have to deal with. I can't do a single push-up. I can't lift a lot of things with my arm. If I ever have kids, once they reach like a year and a half old, I may not be able to hold them in my left arm, and it's only getting worse. It's only going to get worse. There's nothing that can really stop it from getting worse, and that's something that I have just accepted. Chronic pain, everything like that. When I talk about being tired, that's a huge aspect of it, is my body's constantly trying to heal something that can't heal. And I'm not saying all this for pity. I've accepted this. It's a part of my story, and I've fully embraced it, and I've learned how to function well with it. I say all that because Suga's story with his shoulder and his fear of how that's going to impact it, and his acceptance of it being a part of himself, and eventual recognizing that he needs to seek out treatment, and it's okay to not be okay, and that it's okay to need this, and that he had support around him. That is something that really sits with me and really kind of hits me, and I feel like I understand that. And so for all the talent of everyone involved, I feel like I just have that connection with Suga, and this understanding of being a performer is really just inherently difficult, and having to function with, you know, a part of your body that is kind of rebelling against you and that isn't working the way you want to. I kind of had to move away from dancing. You know, I can still do it in musical theater, but they have to work with me to do specific choreography or lifts because I can only do so much. But, you know, bringing in groceries is difficult. You know, it's like, and that's just a part of my life. I can't play contact sports. A lot of you know I love football. I can't play contact football anymore. When I do play football, I have to be the quarterback, and no one can touch me because I could get hurt so easily. I'm not allowed to ride a bike. Again, I'm not saying this for pity. I'm saying this because Suga had to go through so much and hide so much of that pain and just try to deal with it because of the anxieties placed on him by the world and by the demands of chasing his dream. And that's something that really speaks to me. And so I just have this connection, I guess, that I feel. And I'm really proud of him. And I've never met him, but I'm really proud of the way that he's handled it, and that he sought out and accepted that this was something he had to address, and that he took the time that was necessary, not just to have the surgery, but to let it heal, and to let it heal completely. And that's a choice that you have to make, is to not rush back and to take things seriously like that. And it's really, really difficult. So again, not to wax too poetic about it, but that's why Suga's my bias wrecker, I guess it is, or whatever you want to call it. I love all of them. All of them are terrifically talented. I officially think BTS is my favorite band in the world, but I really admire that about Suga, and understand where he's coming from. Obviously to an extent, we live different lives and different cultures, but I have a lot of empathy with him for that. So that's him. Probably not as fun or exciting as you maybe anticipated, but it is sincere, and it is my truth. And thank you for watching and caring. So to any of you who are going through anything, whether it's mental health or physical health or anything else, you're not alone. You are worth it, and you are strong, and you are needed, and your voice is needed, and your story is not yet done. So please keep writing it, because you get to be the writer. So keep going with it. And, in the end, you're needed. We need you, and we need your strength, and you have that in droves, whether you feel it or not. I know you do, because I felt like I didn't, but I did. And so do you. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next time wearing this exact same shirt. But hey.